Like there
Yeah.
wasn't like a loser in the bunch. And I think those stories are always really interesting because there's so much nuance to that. So I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
let's do that one if you're comfortable with that one.
Totally fine. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Josh Fosberg. I am the head of our media and publishing segment inside of our business. I lead a sales team, lead a sales org. We meet with a lot of different people when we're selling WordPress VIP software. A bunch of emails go out, PDFs go to various places. We're not in the rooms where the final decisions are happening or like the final selling is happening. And we basically just need to help our buyers do that instead of just relying on them to figure it out themselves. It came down to align, accord, and then also build it yourself was evaluated too. So being WordPress, you can build a lot of different things with WordPress. That always is kind of a consideration when we're selecting software.
And when you looked at the two options, so aligned and accord,
Yeah.
I guess when you were first exposed to both, how would you have characterized the differences? Were you looking at it through the lens of like this product does this, but the other doesn't? Was it more about like the experience of how they worked with you? Help us understand when you were trying to drive like a comparison between the two, what sort of factors came to mind for you as you were evaluating?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. That was pretty clear. Like that at the end of the day, that's what ultimately won the deal for Aligned in this case. And and I think about this on my own side now, but I think it's an interesting experience because we had the need around a deal room software and it was very concrete. We want to stay inside of this box and we don't really need to go outside of it. Align met that really well. So Salesforce integration, Gong integration out of the box, like the things that we just needed. The user experience was clean. Um, the experience for our buyers too. So the people who would get the experience was clean. So that all was very positive. Accord had a lot of that as well, and they also had software that was more oriented around um, like internal coaching, internal like how well is your seller doing. So use this software then to give your sellers feedback. Um, just kind of felt like too much. Like it brought us outside of the box that we wanted to stay in. Whereas Align was very specific on the use case that we met. So then when you're starting to compare Accord and like prices are different and Accord is more expensive than Align and like, we don't need all this. And this is where they seem to be focusing some of their effort or more of their effort, whereas Aligned is just very aligned. Boy, that was dumb. Aligned on the single use case.
Interesting. So an instance where more is not necessarily better.
Totally. Yeah, yeah. Whereas in
If
the past,
price
like definitely bought bundles of things. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm getting a deal. Throw the email thing into the call recorder thing, and that magically all works. Yeah.
if price had been the same, would it have still been a negative that they did more? Or was it that they did more and they were trying to charge you for it?
I don't think it would have changed the outcome. Yeah. So I think, and maybe it's not the fact that more capabilities existed. I think it was are the right investments going to be made into the capabilities that we want,
Mhm.
and what does that look like in the long term? So for instance, this may have changed, but Accord at the time didn't have an integration with Gong. So like,
Yeah.
there you go. Like that's we kind of need that right out of the box. Um, and that was a negative trait of it, but yeah.
And more vendors, whether they're WordPress or not, are evaluating that should we build this ourselves? W- Is there a certain threshold of like effort, cost, complexity at which these things move to, hey, this is not worth building ourselves that I know people could be aware of?
Um, oh boy, I mean that's changing so fast and so rapidly that like, you could you could like spend an evening and then come back with something. When we think about buying software versus building it here or building it into WordPress, it generally comes down to the time it's going to take, who is going to have to do that because you're pulling them off of other things that are probably important as well, and then just in the long run, 6 months from now, 9 months from now, who's maintaining this thing?
Okay, that was so good.
The whole series is about exploring how people's buying decision takes place from like the moment something becomes necessary to a final decision.
Especially if you're like, well, we can do that too. Like, why didn't we know that before? That would be helpful.
I was like, what I wouldn't have given to have this back then.
That's exactly the type of stuff I was hoping to hear out of these interviews. So cool. When the company decided, all right, hey, we're going to look at maybe what we can do internally. We're going to look at these two other vendors that do this. Do you have a rough estimate of how many people were involved, like total that were consulted as part of this?
Yeah, I mean, including the people that were part of the evaluation, somewhere between half a dozen to 10 folks.
Mm.
CRO had to sign off. CFO had to have the final say on budget. But yeah, it was a decent little committee of folks.
And then because it's a tool that your sales team touches,
Sure.
were at any point did you pull in salespeople to weigh into that decision? Not suggesting that you should. I'm just always curious around, is this something you say, hey, as a leadership team, we've decided this is like the best tool out of the bunch? Or is it
Yeah.
a place where you say, Joe and Mary, we want to make sure you have eyes on this before we roll it out? Can you talk to us about end user involvement, if at all, in that buying process?
Yeah, they were 100% part of the buying committee. So, yeah, there's discrete feedback that we have from the sellers around how easy it was used. Put yourself in the shoes of your buyer. What would they like getting this email? Using the software, so getting the right stuff into the deal room, making sure that was easy. Ultimately it came down to the seller's feedback. Ultimately it came down to this team to decide about the software.
We've heard in other calls a desire for sellers to multi-thread and move up a level or across a level, but sometimes the buyer doesn't want to do so for reputation purposes. Like, hey, let me make sure that I think it's a good idea before I pass it on. For other reasons, how did they multi-thread at your organization in a way that felt helpful and productive to you, and not like they're trying to go around you or pull in kind of added weight that was more than just you?
McCord, for instance, their seller over there did a really, really good job branching out inside of the organization in ways that weren't part of the core structure. And his job was to build a case beyond that team, and he was pretty effective at it. He built a strong case with folks outside of it. Pretty tricky, I think. In this case, there were some relationships that existed for this seller, and they just provided a natural path for him to do that. That doesn't always happen that way. You're going to want to ask for that access. And if they don't give that access, you're just going to probably want to do it yourself in a way that hopefully you've built a nice relationship with the buyer. And in this case, the sellers had built nice relationships with us, that there's no hard feelings. Also, I think it's different selling to sellers. We're a bunch of salespeople and we kind of know how the game is played in a way. So we're a little more forgiving than selling maybe procurement software to procurement people.
How long was the sales cycle for this?
Month and a half, maybe.
Was it 5-figure, 6-figure? What are we talking about?
We have 5 figures.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So it was a pretty fast cycle.
And do
I
you
was gonna say,
recall
it's a beautiful thing when a buyer comes to you and says, I want this thing, you do this thing. Can we cross the T's and dot the I's?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe a little bit longer, but I don't think it was much longer than that.
And you made a comment that there's a couple deals you've purchased because of a cold call, but maybe that wouldn't work for you anymore. Screening calls. Has the
Sure.
way you sell WordPress shifted at all in the past year?
Yeah. It sure has. We make calls, so we still make calls. Some of the shifts on our side, I mean, we've recently moved from a legacy sales cadence type software thing to a newer one that just happened. One that baked in AI capabilities out of the box, just made it easier for the BDR teams and the account executive teams to use. That was a pretty big shift for us, and we're trying to use AI in ways that don't sound like robots but sound like humans, and we're incorporating that into our day to day. And then I think the other thing, we're just getting out a lot. So we're just traveling a lot. We're meeting in person. I was just in London this week and had couple days worth of meetings. Be in New York next week. So all the sellers are just trying to find ways to get in front of people, because the human connection really, really matters right now. When people aren't picking up the phone as much or get too many emails.
This was fun. Thank you for sharing your story and even kind of swerving into some of the WordPress VIP approach. We love hearing these stories and appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.
Love it. Hey, listen, if you're at the end, you're like, it's not going to work.
Would you get out, get lost?
Just no hard feelings. I got this. But no, it was fun. Thanks for this.
Yeah, thank you. We really
Hope
appreciate
the
it.
aligned Accord stuff was helpful.
It is. And it's
is.
also fun doing well, you mentioned it, but the meta selling to salespeople stuff. That's something we haven't talked about yet, about the
Yeah.
experience of using the product in their own sales cycle. So that's totally net new to what we've covered before.
Yeah, and I mean, interestingly, going through, I've been thinking about this and unpacking the deal flow on their side or on our side makes me think about the deal flow on ours, selling it, because we bundle Parsley into our software which is analytics. I'm like, boy, I wonder how that feels when they don't need it.
Ah,
So
like you're the accord in this
right.
situation.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
like what lessons can I take from my team when it comes to bundling and packaging? All that feels like it always needs to be revisited, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
I'm
that
thinking,
takeaway. Cool.
You should totally go talk to some buyers.
yeah, exactly.
Just
How'd
like,
this feel? Let me get Drew. Yeah, I know a guy. Let me hook you up with Drew. He'll get you to bare your soul,
there
and
you
then he'll sell you
go.
some services and software.
Yeah.
This is Buyer Truths, a research project about how tech buyers make decisions and what it means for how you sell.
My name is Jen Allen Knuth from Demand Gen with a J, and I'm here with my partner, Drew Giovanelli from Buried Wins. After you've learned how buyers make decisions in 2026, let us help you win yours. If you're losing deals to competitors you should beat, Buried Wins will tell you why. They do win-loss interviews with buyers you lost, prospects who never even considered you, and even reach out to the former sellers of your competitors. Learn more at buriedwins.com.
And if you're losing to buyer status quo, Demand Gen will train your team to earn executive attention in outbound, lead status quo busting discovery conversations, and drive consensus with larger buying committees. Check out demandgenwithaj.com.